The newest update for CS2 has just rolled out, but while it does have some good additions and bug fixes, Valve has made a very big oopsie to say the least. The first note of the patch seems very short and sweet on the surface, but it actually has a pretty complicated issue hidden behind it. Here it states that command aliases should now leverage subtick accuracy, and this basically means that players can no longer use binds to manipulate their way around subtick. This has become more commonly referenced as desubticking, and it's done in order to get around some new movement changes that have been recently introduced with CS2. In case you don't already know, jumping is never perfectly consistent, which you can see here in this demonstration. There will always be a slight variation where your model will end up, and each time you hit the ground, you will either be closer or farther away from your intended position. This is no accident by Valve, with the reason being that they wanted a bit more randomness in play. The only issue is that things have gotten a little controversial, as many players that have spent the time practicing their movement skills simply don't like it, and see it as unfair. Included is ESL themselves, and as soon as they saw this update, they decided to host every match from this point on using an older version. In a game where every pixel counts, this simply won't slide in the pro scene, not to mention all the other alias binds that have been broken. Trying to force this was a very out of touch move by Valve, and to make matters even worse from their end, a workaround has already been discovered by lootladders on Twitter. This just goes to show you how sloppy the devs must have been, and pretty irresponsible too, given that they tried to make this change right in the middle of a major. Thankfully, this update isn't all bad, and it brings along some pretty necessary changes, one of those being in the sound of the bomb. Judging from this, only the final 10 seconds of the noise are different, and I believe this is a great change for new players, as well as those who just don't like to keep their game music on. They've also gotten around to fixing some pretty bad glitches, including a bug where a defused bomb would block the player from picking up a weapon close by, as well as some instances where players could peek through ceilings. They've already tried patching this once before, so hopefully they truly got it this time around. We also see the addition of two commands, one of them being called this mouthful, which simply pulls information from a text file. To my understanding, it's intended for people like tournament organizers so that they can easily adjust how a pro player's name appears on the screen, instead of it being whatever their Steam username is. The other command is also quite a useful tool called this mouthful, and when executed, it will pull up this meter that shows some neat information about your connection to the server and how bad your packet loss is. This allows you to visually see the difference between lag coming from your side and the server versus the netcode itself. Some touch-ups have also been made to footsteps and how clear they sound at a distance. Here's what they sound like before and after. Pretty crispy. Knife sounds have also been touched up regarding swishes and the impact, but it's unclear if those weird hitbox issues have been fixed when you try to backstab someone. For some reason, this agent was also missing voice lines along with a few others, but this has now been fixed. Aside from all this, there's a few other things included in this update that are pretty self-explanatory, which you can see in the full patch note here. Hopefully we'll get the left hand and view model bob commands very soon in the next update. Comment what you think, and thank you for watching as always.